Kia ora te whare, ko te wahi kia iwa te timatanga o te whakaro nui, ki e te timatanga me te whakamutu o ngā mea katoa. Nā, ki ngā maunga, ki ngā awa, ki ngā moana, e pupuri maua nei te Māori o te taiao o tēnei takiwā, o te arawa tangata, tēnei te mihi, ka tika ki te kingi atu heitia e noho ana i runga i tōna ahore wa tapu, e pupuri maua nei e nā moe moia, e rā wawata o tātou te ao Māori, pai māriri ki aia me tōna whānau. Anā ki ngā mate huhua, i wainga nui a mātou, i raro i te tuarua o tēnei whare, haere, oki ai. Tēnei e tūana, he uri o Ngāpuhi, me ngatihaua, Ngāti Tūwharetoa, Ngāti Apakura, me Croatia, ki te taha tōku māu. Nō reira, i tēnei wā, ka huri au ki te reo Pākehā, hei māramutia te katoa i ngā rere ngā ngā kōrero i te whare nō reira ka huri. So my name is Te Mapi Simachpene. I am currently a rangatai representative within my iwi of Ngatihaua, and also the Environment Unit Manager for Ngatihaua Mahi Trust. A little bit around rangatahi perspectives. So I've been having a bit of a kōrero with some of the rangatahi from yesterday and today, and perspectives from within our rohe of Ngatihaua around that kaupapa of wai. And I guess essentially it's the kai resources are definitely at the forefront of that. Recreational activities, and for us in terms of what we do within the trust is sustainable employment. And I guess winding this back to water and wai, the key I guess in that area is water quality. If the water quality isn't good, the kai resource isn't going to be safe to eat. It won't be safe to do recreational activities like wakaama, jet skiing, wakeboarding, all of those things that we love to do in those summer months. Excuse me. So a little bit about Ngatihaua Mahi Trust. I think for me, Ngatihaua Mahi Trust, and in terms of those aspirations and perceptions that we have of water and the taiao, utilising Ngatihaua Mahi Trust as a waka for us, the hoi, to achieve those objectives. And Ngatihaua Mahi Trust, as you can see here, this map here outlines the rohe of Ngatihaua, and I'm sure there will be a few of us within here that know these boundaries and these areas, and I'm sure there's probably a couple of cross claims here and there in some of these areas. So, but koina te ahua te Māori. So in terms of Ngatihaua Mahi Trust, it strives to create trading opportunities to enhance the health and well-being of the community through the environmental sector, irrespective of ethnicity. And I push that kaupapa in terms of our trust. We're made up of community, church and iwi, and our trustees represent that across the board, and it's something that we strive for in terms of engaging and with the collaborators and the stakeholders that we have within our projects that we work on. Within our rohe, a number of different territorial authorities, so Waikato Regional Council, Bay of Plenty Regional Council, then we've got the District Council, so Hamilton City, Matamata Pia or Waipa District and Waikato District. In terms of our catchments for the Waikato side of the catchment, and essentially the catchment boundary, I don't know, for you who know the area, Tauwhare Marae and Waimakariri Marae, Puke More More, through there is kind of the divide of the catchments. So on the Waikato side, we've got the Karapiro, the Manga Onua, the Manga One, the Manga Harakeke, and these are catchments that we are predominantly working in, and that's a direct result of the river settlement funding through the River Authority. The other side is the Hauraki catchment, and we have the Tope Haihai, the Waitakaruru, the Waitoa, the Waiho, which essentially run right through the middle of, we're kind of in the middle, Ngatihaua, we've got Raukawa and the other iwi. To the south then we've got Hauraki and Ngati Maru and those downstream from us. And in terms of the key relationships and outcomes that we seek through our collaborations, I mentioned the River Authority before, and like to take the opportunity now to mihi to them for supporting us over the last 3 years in terms of the projects that we put forward, and those 5 river iwi and those Crown representatives are supporting the kaupapa that we're trying to achieve. And also the Waikato Regional Council has been massive in that, and also our other stakeholders like Mighty River Power and the Waikato Tainui Partnership, the WeSet funding agent, and all of those other stakeholders, the landowners, the farmers, all of those people that make these projects possible. So just moving into the current projects that we're kind of working on at the moment. So we're working on Karapiro catchment. I'll just go in a little bit into this. It's kind of a standard thing. Everyone is kind of familiar with what's happening with river management and things like that. So the Karapiro catchment is a priority catchment zone for the Waikato Regional Council, and hence all the focus on this area. The main kaupapa that is targeted within this area is around siltation deposits and into the catchment. So what we've been working on over the last, since 2014 in collaboration with Waipa and the other stakeholders, is planting riparian, so indigenous planting onto the riparian margin, and a setback of being between 10 and 12 metres of setback. The other component that has been incorporated into the project is the willow pole planting at a 10 metre spacing at every 10 metres. And it seems to be holding the soil structure pretty well. There are still some high erosion areas where the regional council have identified and have incorporated hard engineering. So hard engineering is just a whole lot of rock being dumped into the outside bends of the corners, and essentially creating fish habitat but stabilising those bank systems as well. Another one I'll pick out of this, so there's a few other projects, and I guess the other thing for Karapiro, with about 65,000 trees have been planted into catchment so far. It's got to take a heap more to finish off the mahi. We're only just scratching the surface at the moment. The other one I'll pick out of the current projects is the collaboration between St. Peter's College and ourselves and the other stakeholders, and this is essentially around nutrient uptake or nutrient runoff and stock exclusion from riparian areas within their farm system and wetland areas. So this year we're looking at doing a wetland reconstruction project. We planted 15,000 trees there last year, doing a riparian planting project, and I guess essentially it's around focusing on nutrient runoff from the farm. In terms of future projects, I'll pick out the Topu Hai catchment. So tēnei he tētahi tupunawa within ngatihaua and behind the marae of Rukumoana. And essentially, for those potential funders out there, we are seeking funding for this project. And it's a riparian planting project, essentially 25,000 trees, and we're focusing on riparian planting and wetland reconstruction, but having a focus on the re-establishment of raupo and tuna habitat. So there's a little wetland behind our marae, and when the waipuke comes in the winter, that's where the tuna hang out. So what we want to do is he hanga tētahi whare o ngā tuna, ki te noho ki roto i tēnā whare. And when the waipuke comes, they come out of that whare and feed on the paddocks, and it makes it easy for us to harvest that tuna. And then they can, when the water recedes, they can go back into their whare and they can hang out in there until the next winter. So yeah, that's just a little bit about the projects that we're currently working on. In terms of our vision statement, Tamati talked about it, tiaki manaki te tangata, tiaki manaki te taia. Excuse me. And essentially, I guess to achieve that, we look at the training opportunities. So the trust is very much focused on the training opportunities and bridging the people that have been trained into sustainable employment. And then from there, we'll be able to enrich the environment. So at this point, I'll be back after, but just wanted to hand over to a couple of our kaimahi that have come along today to tui mua I te mura o te ahi meki. And hand it over to Tapu Teina, Weka Ngatihaua Pene, to talk a little bit about training. Kia ora.
Kia ora tātou. tēnā koe te parata, or Captain Planet. That's our young general in command. Engari, kei ngā maunga whakahi, kei ngā awa whakatere waka, a katoa ia mai ki tēnei pito te motu o tātou. Hei kōrero mō ngā kaupapa e titi nei ki te ngākau. Nei rā te mihi. Heo tira ki ngā rōpū, kua whakariti i tēnei kaupapa. Kaori ia rika ngā mihi, kūtau ia hei ai. Tātou katoa te hui ki tēnei wāhi, ki raro te tuanui o te tātou whare o matua haui, ki te kōrero i ngenei tu āhuatanga. Nā reira, ko ai au, ko maunga tautari te maunga, ko wai katoa te awa, ko tainui te waka, ko ngatihaua te iwi, ko weka pene tōku ingoa. Nā reira, kia mara mai tātou katoa, ka huri ki te reo Pākehā. My name is Weka Pene, and I hail from centre of the University of Kumoana, which is on the outskirts of Morons. How does this work? E tātou mā, with regard to my section of this presentation of ours, I'll be speaking on training. So the training opportunities that our Mahi Trust sought to provide for rangatahi, or for those who are keen to undertake any mahi in general. It's about setting up our rangatahi and our people to upskill them, to build their capacity so they can move on through into employment, so they have those skills and knowledge base to allow them to do so. So our aim in achieving one of our primary goals of cultivating a healthy and striving community is to provide the means of rangatahi coming together to train, to learn, to upskill so that when they move into an operational arm of wherever it may be within the trust, anywhere else, that they undertake their tasks in the project with utmost quality. So that's essential to the running of our trust in particular. So in the past, the Trust have undergone or undertaken training programs and facilitation or in collaboration with aroha mai, with education providers and the likes of ag training, Wintec, and those programs looked into horticultural training, tool operations, so chainsaw operation and air tools to do all the work, do all the mahi, the scrub cutting and whatnot. And little things like that. So that's the external training, but also internally, every day we have that sort of learning, that training going on the ground, and that's key that we keep that conscious in our minds, what we're feeding to our rangatahi, to those that are coming up through the ranks, that we're constantly training, training with the mighty to wash those dishes efficiently, to a quality that your mama approves. It's all those little things. It's training everywhere, every single day, and that's what will upskill our people, not just in these areas, but just in life. Nā reira, hei o tinga māku, ka kōrero o whakahua i tete i whakatauki, te piko o te māhuri tērā te tupu o te rākau. So within the trust we liken the growth of a plant to the growth of a person, of o te tangata. So how we nourish it, how we provide those nutrients, that is in which the way it'll grow. So for us, it's about providing those nutrients, that nourishment, so that they can move off into the world and help them achieve their aspirations. Ngara I runga I awa kōrero, ka whātu ki te parata nei, tana umanga, so they can take on our employment section. Kia ora whānau. Oh, I actually missed all my slides. We'll look at some photos, eh? So we just have some visits from our tauira that went to into the industrial world. Just internal training. Engari, aroha mai pray. Tana.
My name's Tana Bell. Sorry I don't have a flash mouldy introduction. I was a bit of a naughty kid, so my mother sent me to a convent school. And, so So by the time I really did want to learn Māori in high school, my mind was, how do I say it, changed in order to try and tackle the wahine. But I'm from Te Kuiri, Maniapoto. I'm a site supervisor for Ngatihaua Mahi Trust. So I find I'll just flip through to my slides. Yep. Or AKA leading watercress picker. I haven't been working for Ngatihaua for that long, but for the mahi that we do is awesome for the environment. You know, and I'd just like to take the chance to express 2 words to my boss. Where's she? Yeah, to my boss for making me come up here and speak, and that's pay rise. Also part of the job, as you can see on the top right, we're planting part of a bank that's collapsed into the river. So we're just trying to help stop further water erosion. In the top right, we're drilling and injecting willow trees to help, keep the flow going. And down the bottom right, we're spot spraying around existing plantings. Another thing that's part of my job, I also have to cover is the health and safety aspect of it, which is at the forefront of our organisation. Brownie point, ding. So before we do any work, we have to do a hazard identification, to seek out any potential hazards we may encounter during the day. And because we do a lot of planting, like in a lot of untamed land, the site in and out can be quite treacherous. So getting stuck is actually a pretty common thing to us. Yeah, pretty common thing, and that pretty much sums me up. I've got the short and sweet one, and I'd like to pass you on to my fellow watercress picker, Maya Monsep.
I can't compete, so I won't even try. I te timatanga te kupu, koe o te kupu a te katinga o te ao, ko te wai o te kupu ka utonu, koe hā te putanga i te mga tapu, koe hā te putanga i te ngā whātanga, koe hā te putanga ki te whai iau, ki te ao marama. Io, ae, Hopu ke moke te maunga, ko hanga wera, moki ngō ko maunga. Ko manga tea te koawa e tere ki manga wara, tai atu ki te awa nui o tai kēhuara, ko wai kato, ka inga huha o taupiri. Ko ngā tira nui te apu, ko ngā te wairere te iwi, ko tau hei me huka nui ngō ko marae. Ko mai o se au tōku i ngā tihei te wai i Māori atu te oa. E mihi hoku ki te kingi Māori, tōna whānau, me te whare kāhui ariki, pai Māori. Kia pai hoku te mārire ki te tumaki me te tumakatanga o ngatihaua ki te kingitanga. Ki ngā mo te maho o te motu, haere atu rā. E ngā wai o Māori, ngā wai o mana, e ngā wai o tapu, e wai pupuke mai ki tēnei huinga o tātou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. My task today is to talk a little bit to the issue of environment in relation to Ngatihaua Mahi Trust and the purposes of the mahi we do as toa taiao, or environmental warriors in restoring our environment. One task we're going to take is seed collection and propagation. The main plants we use at the moment are karamu, manuka, harakeke, kahikatea and carrots grasses, and that's because they have strong root structures. The next tasks we undertake is site preparation. We go and drill and inject, like the bro explained. We take a chainsaw, cut and paste, put poison on those stumps, like gorse, privet, etc. We spray site maintenance once we've planted. Yeah, that's pretty much it. The next one is planting now. Why do we plant? We try and stabilise our banks and control the silt, otherwise it becomes a problem for people further on down the river. We want to provide a habitat as close as possible to what it was prior to human interference, to benefit our native wildlife and their respective and interrelated recovery. Another important task we undertake is the data collection of tuna stocks. We use hinaki, as you can see at the top, and this one here, see the hinaki, so we can see if we get an idea of the population length, weight, numbers, time of year, and their stomach contents, and if we're lucky we take some home with a kite. Another culturally significant resource is our watercress. It's a superfood, it's important to our whānau, so we like to try and pick it, take it home, feed our whānau, take it to our hui and our tangihanga, make sure everyone's looked after. Sometimes we also have community planting events, the benefits of which are threefold. One positive of this is that our trust is building a rapport within our communities, increasing potential for sourcing employees. Another is that it advertises our trust, its work, values and objectives, increasing community awareness of what we do. So it's a flow-on effect. The next positive that it allows us to build capacity. These touch on the Māori concept of well-being, the wharetapa whā, some of us be familiar with, which entail four main subject matters. One is wairua, our spirituality, in relation to connect that to what we do. For me, I get a huge satisfaction from planting and knowing that we're helping to heal Papatūānuku, having learnt that our trust has planted 22,000 plants alone in just this season. Tinana, our body, and the positive effects of manual labour and physical activity, and what that has on us. Third, hinangaro, our mental health, the benefits of training opportunities and being able to upskill helps exercise our brains. And the most important one is whānau or family, those who we are most familiar with. And community planting is one of those things within that kind of, it has a positive social effect. And also the money I get from what I do to sustain my family. I'd like to finish with this, ko waiau, I am water, yes I am. And the source of my water is the source of yours, we are of that same source. Our waters have since parted ways, flowed only separated by distance through time to each present moment like pools or puddles. So here we are, o reira back to Canada.
Kia ora anō, tēnei te mihi ki o tō taiao e hoia nei te waka ki ta putaha. I waimari ki te koutou e tū ana i mua i te marea, ki te kōrero, i ngā kōrero e pāna ki tō koutou nei hoenga wiki. I guess a little bit for me around the reason why us as a trust have incorporated our kaimahi into this group of people. For me, it's about giving the opportunity for rangatahi that wouldn't otherwise get the opportunity to be able to be in this space and kōrero like they have to kōrero and carry yourself in the way that you need to carry yourself. I think, tapping into what Weka talked about around training and the internal training. So for us as a trust, this is part of an internal training, is exposing our kaimahi to these types of forums, and some of it rubbed off on one of the kōrero from Maya, listening to Tamati Kruger's kōrero inanahi e pāna ki te Māori me te mana, me te tapu, and one of those quotes of that kōrero, the order is me. So, very important for us within the trust in terms of doing that mahi, and ka pai. A little bit around mātauranga Māori. So mātauranga Māori for us permeates through everything. It's like health and safety. For us, we have what we call cultural health and safety. And it's essentially what my job has been, is making the cultural health and safety a living, breathing aspect of our mahi on a day-to-day basis. That's from the opening of a site. When we first go into a site, we will invite our kaumātua to come in and do karakia whakarite, to make sure that that cultural aspect for us is taken care of, so that we don't, when we're planting trees and we're hitting little hotspots on the site, what I call hotspots, we don't have this thing in the back of our mind going, is that potentially somewhere where a battle had been happening or something like that, So it clears our mind. We sit a lot more tau within our mahi. This particular slide here, so this is, I guess, an example of cultural health and safety for us. So this was an artefact that I dug out of the ground on one of our sites on the St. Peter's College farm estate, and essentially it popped out of the ground and I saw this kohatu. And because we'd been planting like 10,000 trees in there and we had watched the soil structure, we knew what the soil structure was, and this kohatu popped out of the ground and like, oh, that shouldn't really be here. And then could kind of figure, as soon as I picked it up and I held it in my hand, you can see a photo there. That was a photo that I took and sent to my general manager, which is part of our process, send it to the manager, and then the manager sends that to Kaumātua, and then that's kind of the ball rolling in terms of the process to I guess, the practicing of cultural health and safety for us. But yeah, picked up that kohatu, and you know, the photo was seen by Kaumātua. I got a phone call 5-10 minutes later from my manager, and said, yeah, just leave it there, mark it, carry on with your mahi. So we kind of identified that area as a bit of a hotspot, and then carried on planting for the rest of the day, and then came back the following day, and you can see here there's a photo of tētahi o mātou Kaumātua, Jack Wirihana. He also sits as a trustee for us, and he came in and did the karakia whakatonu for that kaupapa and that particular artefact, from advice from our Kaumātua and from our tūmaki that taonga is to stay on that whenua, so it sits with on the farm estate. So yeah, that's a little bit around mātauranga Māori and cultural health and safety, and I guess a operational process that we use. So just kind of wrapping it up around rangatahi aspirations. Again, I've been having this kōrero with a few people in the whare and from the Hokainga. So growing rangatahi engagement in the economic value of water. And I think the other points will kind of, I don't really have an answer to that aspiration, I think, but these other points I think will kind of move in the direction of what we want to achieve within there. So essentially a knowledge transfer from our tuakana of the information that will give us as rangatahi a strong platform to move forward into the future around engagement with water, the value of water, things like that. And I guess that moves straight into the next one is, and I guess this is that kind of looking at an operational kind of thing that we can do as rangatahi and as, I guess, essentially the pakeke forum, is to create a forum for rangatahi to feel free and comfortable to share their views. But let's be honest, you know, some of the boys here that are, you know, from the pā, they're not going to talk freely in front of this sort of forum. You know, we kind of need a kind of space to ourselves a little bit, just so that so let people come out of their shells a little bit, otherwise they'll just clam up. And that's the reality of it. So I guess the tono is, and I've had a talk with a couple of people around potentially creating a forum for us to have a kōrero about fresh water and our views of it moving forward. So yeah, i rungi tērā, koe nā noiho, tēnā koutou mō koutou aroaro mai ki tēnei kōrero i ēnei whakaaro o tātou ngā rangatahi o ngatihaua. Kia ora tātou.
Kia ora tātou.